Welcome to Mindset Capital TV, where mindset meets money. This channel is built for thinkers, builders, and future leaders who understand that wealth starts in the mind. If you're ready to level up your thinking, your habits, and your income, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. The mindset that holds smart people back from success. Some of the smartest people you know will never succeed. Beat. Not because they're lazy. Not because they lack talent. Not because the system is unfair, but because of how they think. Somewhere right now, there's a brilliant mind sitting in a small room. High IQ, big ideas, sharp opinions. They understand money better than most. They analyze markets. They criticize billionaires. They see flaws others don't. And yet, they're stuck. A man staring at his laptop at 2:17 a.m. A woman scrolling job boards with a law degree. A notebook full of ideas never launched. This video is about the most dangerous mindset in the modern world. The mindset that quietly destroys smart people. It doesn't look like fear. It looks like intelligence. It doesn't sound like doubt. It sounds like logic. And by the time you realize you have it, it's already cost you years. If you've ever thought, I just need to figure it out a bit more. Most people are too dumb to understand this. I'm not ready yet. I see why this won't work. Then this video is about you. And by the end, you'll understand why being smart might be the very thing holding you back. The invisible cage. Smart people rarely feel trapped. That's the problem. They don't feel stuck in a cage. They feel above it. A man sits alone. Coffee untouched. He's not struggling. He's thinking. Smart people live in their heads. They build mental models. They simulate outcomes. They anticipate problems before they happen. At first, this looks like a superpower. But slowly, quietly, it becomes a prison. Because while others are doing, the smart person is evaluating. While others are learning by failing, the smart person is learning by imagining failure. And imagination is cruel. It doesn't just show you what could go wrong. It shows you everything that could go wrong. So the smart person waits. Waits for perfect clarity, perfect timing, perfect confidence, perfect knowledge. But perfection never comes. And the cage tightens. When intelligence becomes a liability. Here's something nobody tells you. Most success is built by people who don't fully understand what they're doing. That sounds insulting. Until you realize why it works. They move before certainty. They start businesses they're not ready for. They speak before they feel confident. They launch ideas that aren't perfect. And in motion they adjust. Smart people hate this. Because they see the gaps. They see the flaws in the plan. They see the inefficiencies. They see the reasons it might fail. So they do what smart people do best. They optimize the plan instead of executing it. They read one more book, watch one more video, refine the idea again, and again, and again. Eventually, the plan becomes a place to hide. The arrogance of clarity. This is the part that hurts. Smart people don't think they're afraid. They think they're right. They say things like, that business model won't scale. That's just hype. Most people don't understand economics. I see through the illusion. And often, they're not wrong. But here's the truth. Seeing why something won't work does not equal building something that does. Critique feels productive. Understanding feels powerful. But neither creates momentum. Smart people confuse clarity with progress. They believe that once they fully understand the system, success will naturally follow. But success doesn't reward understanding. It rewards engagement. The world doesn't pay you for seeing the matrix. It pays you for playing the game anyway. The comfort of being potential. There's something seductive about potential. Potential has no deadlines. No embarrassment. No public failure. As long as you haven't tried, you can still believe you would have succeeded. Smart people protect this illusion fiercely. Because once you try, potential collapses into results. And results are measurable. They can disappoint. So instead of risking failure, they stay intelligent. They stay theoretical. They stay safe. They become the smartest person in the room. That never changes. Why action feels unintelligent. Action is messy. It's inefficient, embarrassing, full of unknowns. To a smart mind, it feels reckless. But here's the paradox. Action creates information that thinking never will. You don't learn confidence by thinking about confidence. You don't learn leadership by analyzing leadership. You don't learn money by understanding money. You learn by doing badly, then slightly better, then again. Most smart people never give themselves permission to be bad. So they remain brilliant and invisible. The moment everything shifts, at some point, every smart person faces a quiet realization. That intelligence isn't the edge they thought it was. That the people beneath them are passing them. That insight without action is weightless. And in that moment, there are two paths. One leads deeper into analysis. The other leads into discomfort. Only one leads to freedom. The identity trap. There's a moment most smart people never notice. It happens quietly. At some point in their life, they stop being someone who learns and start being someone who knows. And that shift changes everything. Because once intelligence becomes your identity, failure becomes a threat. You're no longer experimenting. You're protecting a reputation. You're no longer curious. You're defensive. Smart people often don't realize this, but they start living with an invisible rule. If I try and fail, I lose who I am. So instead of risking that identity, they stay where they're admired. They choose environments where they sound articulate. They can explain things. They're respected for insight, not outcomes. They become the smart one. But the smart one rarely becomes the dangerous one. And success doesn't come from being impressive. It comes from being effective. How ego hides behind intelligence. We usually think ego looks loud, arrogant, boastful, flashy. But the most destructive ego is quiet. It says things like, I don't want to put out something low quality. I just care about doing it right. I'm not like those people chasing attention. This sounds humble. It feels principled. But underneath, it's still ego. Because the ego isn't saying I want to win. It's saying I don't want to look foolish. And that fear wears a clever disguise. It disguises itself as standards, ethics, intelligence, taste. So the smart person avoids action, not because they lack ambition, but because they refuse to be seen before they're excellent. And excellence never shows up before effort. Why dumb confidence beats smart hesitation. This is uncomfortable to admit, but history proves it again and again. The people who win early are rarely the smartest. They're the ones who move with incomplete information, learn publicly, adjust fast, don't overinterpret failure. They don't need certainty to act. They need momentum. Smart people demand certainty first. But certainty is earned after motion, not before. So while the smart person is still calculating probabilities, someone less informed but more decisive has already shipped, sold, learned, improved. Confidence compounds faster than intelligence. And confidence comes from surviving action, not imagining it. The fear no one talks about. Most people think smart people fear failure. That's not quite true. Smart people fear being ordinary. If you fail after trying, you become normal. Just another person figuring it out. And that's terrifying when your self-worth is built on being exceptional. So, instead of risking ordinariness, they stay special in theory. They stay the one with potential. But potential is a story you tell yourself. The world doesn't reward it. The painful realization. Eventually, time forces a reckoning. The smart person looks around and notices. People they once dismissed are ahead. Simpler thinkers are winning. Loud beginners now have experience. And suddenly, intelligence feels heavy. Not empowering. Heavy. Because now it comes with regret. Regret of years spent preparing. Opportunities passed. Moments delayed. This is the most dangerous moment. Some people double down on bitterness. They say, the world rewards stupidity. But the truth is simpler. The world rewards movement. The switch, when intelligence stops leading. There's a moment where smart people finally break free. Not because they learned something new, but because they stopped letting intelligence drive. They demote intelligence from commander to advisor. Action becomes the leader. Intelligence becomes support. They stop asking, is this optimal? And start asking, will this move me forward? They stop protecting identity. They start building skill. They stop trying to look smart. They start trying to win. And paradoxically, that's when intelligence finally becomes powerful. How to escape the trap without becoming reckless. Escaping this mindset doesn't mean becoming impulsive. It means changing rules. New rules like action creates clarity, feedback beats theory, progress beats perfection, repetition beats brilliance. Smart people don't need more knowledge. They need permission. Permission to be bad publicly, start unfinished, learn out loud, move before ready. The moment you allow this, your intelligence stops sabotaging you and starts accelerating you. The final truth, the most painful truth is this. Being smart doesn't guarantee success. And sometimes it delays it. Because success doesn't care how well you understand the game. It cares how long you're willing to stay in it. A true story you've never been told. There's a story that repeats itself everywhere. It doesn't make headlines. It doesn't get written into biographies. Because it's not dramatic. It's quiet. He was the smartest person in every room. Top grades. Sharp mind. Everyone said the same thing. You're going to do something big. And he believed it. Not arrogantly. Logically. He understood systems. He could explain why businesses failed. Why markets moved. Why people made bad decisions. Other people acted. He understood. Years passed. Friends launched startups. Some failed. Some survived. A few succeeded wildly. He watched all of it. From a distance. With clarity. With opinions. With reasons. By the time he finally tried, the world had moved on. The opportunity wasn't gone. But the edge was. And what hurt most wasn't losing. It was realizing this. Nothing held him back except how long he waited to feel ready. Why smart people arrive late. Smart people don't miss opportunities. They arrive too late. They wait until the model is proven. The risk is lower. The rules are clearer. But by then, the upside has shifted. The early chaos, the part where growth explodes, is already gone. Because chaos favors those who act without certainty. Order favors those who optimize. And wealth is almost always created in chaos. By the time smart people feel safe, the game is already crowded. Margins are thin. And the winners are already positioned. The deadliest sentence in the smart mind. There is one sentence that kills more success than failure ever could. Smart people say it quietly. To themselves. Over and over. I'll do it once I understand it better. This sentence feels responsible. It feels mature. It feels intelligent. But it's a lie. Because understanding does not precede action. Action creates understanding. Every time you say that sentence, you postpone growth. Not because you're incapable, but because you've mistaken thinking for progress. The deadliest sentence in the smart mind. There is one sentence that kills more success than failure ever could. Smart people say it quietly. To themselves. Over and over. I'll do it once I understand it better. This sentence feels responsible. It feels mature. It feels intelligent. But it's a lie. Because understanding does not precede action. Action creates understanding. Every time you say that sentence, you postpone growth. Not because you're incapable, but because you've mistaken thinking for progress. Why the world rewards confidence over competence. This part feels unfair. Because it is. The world doesn't reward who knows the most. It rewards who moves first and adapts fastest. Confidence signals momentum, direction, leadership. Competence without visibility is invisible. And smart people often stay invisible by choice. They wait until they're sure, they're polished, they're exceptional. But visibility comes before mastery, not after. Every expert you admire was once wrong, awkward, incomplete. They just didn't wait to hide it. The moment smart people either wake up or disappear, there's a fork in the road. Most people don't notice when they pass it. One path leads to endless learning, safe intelligence, private frustration. The other leads to visible effort, public mistakes, real leverage. Both paths feel uncomfortable, but only one compounds. This is the moment where smart people either become dangerous or become commentators for the rest of their lives. And commentators always sound right, but they never win. The final shift from thinker to builder. The shift is not dramatic. There's no explosion, no sudden confidence. It's a quiet decision, a rule change. I will value momentum more than mastery. I will learn in public. I will let reality teach me. The moment you do this, your intelligence stops being a cage and becomes a weapon, not because you think better, but because you finally move. If you're watching this and it feels personal, that's because it is. You don't need permission. You don't need clarity. You don't need to be ready. You just need to start imperfectly. Because the most tragic outcome is not failing. It's being smart enough to succeed and never doing anything with it. If this video shifted your mindset, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Remember, your mindset is your greatest asset. Protect it, build it, invest in it. This is Mindset Capital TV. We'll see you in the next one.